From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
In this video, we analyze how those monthly stimulus checks could get into the fourth stimulus package. The president's not putting them in there, but the Democrats, both House and senators, want them in there. I'll explain in this video as the toast is toast and the butter is buttering and the stimulus check chatter is simmering. I'll explain how the push is underway and where that push happens. The president had a series of press briefings this week. Of course, none of them mentioned stimulus checks. That's not an issue for you. The issue is those Senate Democrats. I'll analyze how reconciliation is really the only route to get it done and how that route is underway. I'll also analyze for you how Democrats in the House of Representatives who want it in there can get it in there and make it even easier across the board. I'll analyze the three different steps to get this to the finish line and explain to you how we can get those multiple stimulus checks out the door. It's a big day, and Mornings LALATE is continuing, and it's continuing with the detail about these monthly reoccurring stimulus checks under the fourth stimulus package. Let's get to it right now. Good morning, everybody. It's Mornings LALATE, and the president's currently writing the fourth stimulus package and is likely to debut it in the next few days. But when you see the fourth stimulus check package, there won't be a check in there. That's what the Democrats in the House and the Senate want to put in there. And it's important to understand that's not the concern of them putting in there. The question is when, and also the path. In this video, I'm going to explain to you the path to get those stimulus checks in there so you're informed and understand where to push purple power. In the video before this, I went over the speed and the urgency and the importance of getting this done sooner rather than later because the economy booming. Now I want to go through the path to get those stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package, delineating step by step everything across the board. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, become part of the best community there is. We've stayed on point and we stay on point. Also, like this video. Let's try to do 3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Thank you for the new members who joined during this chat. And I'll be jumping into the live chat. So certainly drop great comments and questions. And you'll see a new video from the White House in this video coming up in a second. Here's what you need to know is that you have a bill. And a bill can go a normal way or it can go a reconciliation way. A reconciliation way is the way the last bill went, the third stimulus package. The reason why they did the reconciliation path the last time was they were not going to get enough Republicans on board to do the bill. So they had to do a reconciliation. Now, what's important to understand is that a reconciliation can start, and that ultimately, if you do get Republicans on board to join you, you don't have to finish the reconciliation. But what's important to understand is that if you don't get them on board, you have to do a reconciliation. The week started with incredible great news that Chuck Schumer won a major great ruling from the Senate parliamentarian, which allowed him to modify the third stimulus package with the next fourth stimulus package, not using an extra reconciliation in his back pocket, saving it for a later date. So now the question is, would the president need it by reconciliation? Absolutely. As we sit here right now, the president's fourth stimulus package has three provisions in there that he wants, that he's drafting, not the stimulus checks. This is his drafting. It's going to have in there first, infrastructure. That's fine for everyone. Second, climate. Stop it right there. Republicans don't want to do climate. They've made very adamant for over a week and a half. They're not going to do climate. They're not going to spend one money on climate, and they're going to do nothing about climate. Well, the president says doing nothing's not an option. They say that's their option, doing nothing. They're not going to give him any money for climate. So the president needs to, at some point, awaken or at least he knows the reality right now and is trying to look like he wants to be bipartisan, which obviously is not going to work. He needs to awaken and say, you know what, I want the climate. The Republicans don't want to give me climate. Let's go for reconciliation. Away we go. We're not even to step 3, which is taxes. You don't get to taxes if you don't even get past climate. So away we go to reconciliation. So what is reconciliation? It's a 2-step process. It starts with presenting a bill that asks, should we do things by reconciliation? It's only a bill that talks about procedure, not about substance. You introduce it to the House of Representatives. You pass it. Then it goes to the Senate. They pass it. Then it goes to the President. He signs into law. Done for purposes of agreeing we're going to do a reconciliation. Not about the substance, not about what's in the bill, but just that we're going to do it this way. It's not the stimulus check part yet. It's just we agree to do it by reconciliation. And then step 2. What's step 1? Step 1 is the tow truck. It has literally gone over the finish line so far in this discussion because it has agreed to do a reconciliation. That tow truck has passed over the finish line. But now they're about to put something on the back of the tow truck, the tow hitch, which says what is going to be done by reconciliation. The tow hitch needs its own bill. It's the substance bill. It starts in the House, goes to the subcommittees. Remember Richard Neal, head of Ways and Means, that we talked about in January? If you remember this channel, you saw some of his draftings and his writings, his PDFs. Well, he would take the bill and say, you know what, this, I want to change here and there and there. This is where they're dealing with substance. It's at this point, when they're working on the substance, the tow hitch, step 2, that House Democrats can, they don't have to, but can put those stimulus checks in there. Would they? There's a high likelihood they will. Here's what's at issue. Whenever we're talking about policy, we have to gauge whether it's just progressive Democrats or progressive and moderate Democrats. When it comes to this forced stimulus for purposes of the House, it looks like it's a mixture, but we don't know for certain yet that it is certainly led by progressives. But is it also supported by moderates? It looks like at the moment. There are over 100 House Democrats. Remember, this is House. We're not to the Senate yet. House Democrats who supported giving you monthly stimulus checks. Tlaib and Jalapal in late March, introduced a bill. They actually wrote the bill and introduced the bill to the House of Representatives. It's a standalone bill. And it calls for the following. Let's look at the language. The legislation is to immediately provide $2,000 payments to every person in the American as critical relief during the pandemic, followed by $1,000 monthly checks continuing to 1 year after the pandemic's over. Now, this is a lot different than things that you have heard on this channel. Why is this different? Number 1, how long it goes. It proposes to go 1 year after the pandemic's over. When is the pandemic over? That's really hard to say. Let's say it's over in August. Well, they would give you a stimulus check to August of next year. Second, the stimulus check amount is slower. It's $1,000 a month. Will this ever get light of day? No. No one's going to give you a stimulus check to the year 2022. That's not happening anytime right now. But what's important is that House Democrats may put the stimulus checks in there with a modification. That was a standalone bill. That was not the fourth stimulus package. That was a standalone bill. They may put a stimulus checks in the tow hitch when they get it in the House. But even if they don't worry, because the next step is off to the Senate. The bill with the climate, with the infrastructure, with the taxes goes to the Senate. There's still no stimulus checks in there. And then starts the vote-a-rama. The vote-a-rama is a 2-day event where senators who are both Republican and Democrat can introduce modifications of the bill. There's a big laundry list of things that are to do. Multiple stimulus checks, FPUC retro, SSI reform, hazard pay, minimum wage. But what's important to understand is that the cleanest and most obvious path for forced stimulus to get to the finish line is after the recon starts during the vote-a-rama. Those senators, of which there's 21 to 50 so far, introducing the modification. And that's what they say they're going to do. That's the path that they have proposed. Those 21 of 50 Democrats have proposed that when they get the bill in the Senate, they're going to modify it. They're going to introduce an amendment, and that amendment will be the following. Monthly checks, which start in the month at which the bill becomes law, to the end of December, for the same people who got the third stimulus check. Now, can they do it? Absolutely. Would they do it? Sure. Would the president oppose it? No. The president's not going to veto it. If they get that done and they get it to a vote and it's approved, then what? Then it goes back to the House of Representatives. They approve it because they will, and then off to the president to sign it. Done. Out the door. Checks start in the month of, let's say, July into the scenario. July, August, September, October, December. There you go, 6 months of checks. If it's $2,000 a month, $12,000 a person. Done. Very, very simple. If it seems like it's so obvious, it should. The Vote-A-Rama before, in the third stimulus, gave you a lot of incredible, great things. And this Vote-A-Rama is 2 days, 48 hours of intense amendments, amendment after amendment. What happened during the Vote-A-Rama? First, there was that $10,200 of unemployment tax-free from 2020. That was put in during the Vote-A-Rama. The student loan debt forgiveness, if it's forgiven by the president by executive order next week, it is now tax-free. That was done during the Vote-A-Rama. Also, the FPUC modification, that was done during the Vote-A-Rama. So it shows you how things can be done at the Vote-A-Rama. If you have questions so far of what you heard so far, drop in the comments. But first, here is a video released by the White House today that details how the president wants to get this to the finish line. The video is par for the course of what the president has been doing lately. This last week, the president debuted one after another of cabinet members coming out and talking about what they want in the fourth stimulus package and why they like it. They don't talk about climate and they don't talk about taxes. They just talk about infrastructure because they don't want to talk about the part that won't get passed. And what the president's trying to do is sell the American people on the bill. He doesn't really need to. We like the bill. Let's go. Away we go. Generally, for purposes of infrastructure. That's all the video talks about is infrastructure. The highly edited and overproduced video features a lot of really strange lighting where everyone blends in with the background and the mirror and the picture frame. Everyone looks exactly the same color and has this very strange Orange County Housewives type of doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop music. Let's listen in. If you have questions or comments, drop them during the video. I'll cut into the video.
Bridges, ports, airports. We also need great broadband infrastructure and a grid for the 21st century. I'm Pete Buttigieg. I'm Secretary of Transportation.
My name is Jennifer Granholm, and I am the Secretary of the Department of Energy.
My name is Marty Walsh, and I'm the Secretary of Labor.
Hi, I'm Gina Raimondo, and I'm the Secretary of Commerce.
My name is Marcia Fudge. I am the 18th Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. My favorite part about the American Jobs Plan is the fact that we see people where they are and we are going to make a difference in their lives, whether it be housing, whether it be education, creating jobs, building 2 million new homes. It is all of it. I'm happy about all of it.
I have two favorite parts. Can I have two favorite parts? I love that President Biden is prioritizing creating more decent paying manufacturing jobs for Americans. The second thing I love about the plan is the emphasis on the care economy. There are so many women of color in particular, working hard every day for low pay, taking care of our loved ones. And they deserve raises, they deserve dignity, and this plan invests in them.
The American Jobs Plan is an incredible plan. There's several great parts of it. The $400 billion investment in the cares economy, the investments all across the board in the American worker, doubling apprentice programs. I think that's something that's going to be really important as well for building back better, but also strengthening our economy and growing the middle class.
All across the country, we're going to have better roads, better bridges, and better jobs. We don't just need roads, bridges, ports, airports. We also need great broadband infrastructure and a grid for the 21st century. I can't wait to see these resources go out to communities where people know that we need to be doing better on our infrastructure.
The thing I am most excited about for the American Jobs Plan is that it's going to create millions of clean energy jobs for Americans using products that are made in America. That's what I'm excited about.
And there is one of the latest videos from the President of the United States. He rolls out one of these per week that is a publicity vehicle to ensure that Americans understand that he wants you to get stimulus relief under the fourth stimulus package. More about that, and I'll be jumping in your live chat with you coming up in just 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Mornings LALATE. Hope you're doing well across the board. It's an exciting morning. How are you? I went dark there for a second. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And thank you for your great questions and comments during the commercial break. There's some people that are posting some stuff. Some of it was almost worthy to delete. I'm just gonna respond to some of the comments. People are posting that the vaccines do nothing. I'm just not, can you please stop that? That's just untrue. The vaccine efficiency rates are all published information. And just posting that stuff just doesn't serve any one purpose. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's up to you. But the vaccines do work. Pfizer and Moderna have 98% efficiency rate. So 98% means that 2% of the time you are 2% of the time is at issue, and 98% of the time you're fine. Johnson & Johnson has a lower efficiency rate. But let's just not do that. I appreciate it. All right, let's get back to the big stuff. If you have questions or comments in the video, jump in as quickly as you want, and I'll answer your questions live on air. What's important to understand is that forced stimulus is heating up. And before we even get to forced stimulus, there are some standalone bills that are absolutely coming to the forefront. And those standalone bills actually start next week. Yes. The student loan debt forgiveness could be forgiven by the end of next week, or at least look like it's about to be forgiven. What's going on? 2 weeks ago, now we're at a week and a half ago. A week and a half ago, the President of the United States finally gave in and said, you know what, Leader Schumer, Senator Warren, I agree. I will finally have my education secretary prepare a deal memo to determine the legal validity of me forgiving student loan debt of $50,000 or less in the United States. And I will have that letter to me within 2 weeks. 2 weeks is this coming Friday. And guess what? That letter is likely to say he can forgive $50,000 student loan debt. So will the president agree to what the letter says? Yes. He's likely to do whatever that letter says. And if Elizabeth Warren is correct that Obama and Trump both forgave student loan debt, you could see that $50,000 of student loan debt determination announced the end of this week. The president generally does big press briefings on Thursday. So Thursday or Friday this coming week could be the big day in which you hear that student loan debt forgiveness will happen. Some of the people in the chat often ask, do I need to apply for it? How do I do this? What happens? We don't know just yet. It's presumed that it's presumed, but we don't know the details yet, that it'll apply to both privately underwritten student loan debts and federal student loan debts. We assume that, but we're not certain yet. Next, we do know it'll apply to debts of any age. So if they're 50 years old or 60 years old, if they're 10 years old, if they're in collections or not in collections, it would cover all of that. Finally, there's likely to be a very simple process to it. And viewers have been asking, do I have to apply for it? It's likely you don't have to apply for it, but we have to wait to hear the details because this is something that's just going to wipe out the debt altogether, meaning that they don't want, 5 trillion applications coming in. They just want to have it officially done. It's just gone. Thank you, Sally, for the dancing hippo. I really appreciate it. So it's as though you just sort of wake up one morning and it's gone. Again, this breaking, developing detail we'll likely hear around Thursday or Friday this week. Back now to forced stimulus and the path to get forced stimulus to the door. What's important to understand is that the time and the place for that forced stimulus to land in the stimulus package would literally happen at the moment the bill drops into the Senate the second time. Remember, first round is the tow truck to get the agreement to do a stimulus package by reconciliation. Step 2 is to actually get the stimulus checks into the tow hitch. And that step is likely only to happen by reconciliation amendments on the final 2 days it's in the Senate. The president's not going to put it in there. The Democratic House members may. So who should you tag? Who should you push? What should you say? You should be tagging your elected leaders who are senators and House members who are Democrat. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Also, you should call up the people you saw in that video before. You should call, if any of them are certainly from your state or you were your former governor, absolutely on the spot. But also, you should reach out to their staff members and say, I heard your press briefing last week, and I really like what you said. I agree with your messaging, but here's what I think, is I don't think you should wait any longer to discuss about whether to do this by bipartisan or not. You should do this by recon. You should do this by recon because we need this bill to go out as soon as possible. And that ultimately, that recon process needs to start now. It needs to start now because it's 2 months. And in 2 months, we could be pushing up on the summer break for Congress. You don't want this to be done in September. And away we go. Let me jump into the live chat and see some of the questions people have across the board. Deanna says, Elliot, you're awesome. I appreciate that. If you have questions or comments right now, drop them in the comments in the video, and I'll jump into the live chat. We love you, Elliot. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. Good morning, Elliot, says Patricia. Good morning, Patricia. How are you? They're sharing. Good morning. I really enjoy your broadcast. I'm learning so much about things and why things take so long. It motivates me to be more vocal. Absolutely. What these cabinet members said this week is they want to hear from you. They want to hear from you. They reach out to these, how do I say it in a polite way? They reach out to these sort of manufactured, self-manifesting organizations to get input on all these things. And these organizations just, say what they got to say. How about reaching out to normal people like you and me that have very strong opinions? Well, they don't know where you are. So instead, you reach out to their staffers, be very polite and say, you know what? I heard your message, Governor or a cabinet member. I like your message. But here's what my thought is. I think you need to do it by reconciliation. I don't think you should be waiting any longer. And I think it needs to be done as soon as possible. Let me jump into more of the live chat right now. I think it's time for hashtagging, says Bruce. Absolutely. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. I don't know what reconciliation means. Sandy, great question. So Sandy has a superb question. What does reconciliation mean? It basically is a very large, hard to say word to describe the two-step process. The two-step process where they agree to do something by it, and they have a bill that agrees to do something by it, and then they come back and they put the parts in there. Why is it a reconciliation, or what does it signify? It signifies less votes than a normal bill. So you need less votes to pass it than a normal bill. That's the first thing. The second one is it refers to things concerning budget. I don't go over it because it doesn't really concern this channel. The reason why it's called that is it's a bill for budget issues, and you're allowed to do things that concern the budget. And ultimately, that's where the Senate parliamentarian comes in sometimes. That's just not about your budget. So don't be talking about that. But that's a great question, Sandy. Let me jump into the live chat and see other questions about the process and the push. What is the program for restaurants? That is the restaurant grant at sba.gov. And then there's also a shuttered venue grant. Both of those are in preview at sba.gov right now. Tiffany, thank you for all you do, LA. I appreciate that. Laura, 4-2, check mail date. IRS, still no check. So frustrated. And we're drowning. By the way, LA, you're awesome. So informative. Thank you for all you're doing. So, Laura, thank you for the nice comment. So Laura goes to irs.gov, and she has a check date of 4-2. Let's look at my check dates on the graphic right here. So here's your check dates. 4-2 to 4-5. That's that week of wave of checks. So you would add about 10 days to it. Now, the graphic says 10 days, Laura, but I have people who are March 26 check people who got the check Friday, who got it Thursday. You see how many days it's been since March 26th. It's more than 10 days. So some of these checks are coming 2 weeks late. They are really, really coming quite late. It is really good, Laura, that you have the check result at IRS tool. It's just going to come. Don't worry, it will come. It's not going to come in May. It's not going to come in late April, but it's coming. Great question. What happened to that $600 stimulus from Gavin Newsom? So that is not automatic. You have to request. You have to do certain documentation to get it. And unfortunately, it got strange. It got very flippant publicity when it came out, where people just assumed they were getting a check. It's not like the federal stimulus check. You have to go through certain hoops to get the money. Will a parliamentarian be involved, Jenny? She will. She will always look and ensure that the items in there are stimulus related. Great question from Jenny. I do appreciate all you do. You're the only one who cares, Bruce. I really appreciate that. Coming up tonight on LA, in spirit of Bruce's comment, coming up tonight on LA, you will see a doubleheader tonight at 10 o'clock and 10:30 on the East Coast. It is a throwback of Purple Power, which talks about helping people, caring about people. But it's also the debut of Sirloin from September of last year. That's when Sirloin first showed his face, and that's the first time I went to the casino in September of last year. So you're going to enjoy those. It's a doubleheader. And I want to ask the viewers' comments. There's a third video. Where I first met Sirloin, which was about rent. And it doesn't belong on Evenings LA. So I'm thinking I'm dropping in this afternoon because there's another third video that's hilarious where I first met Sirloin. I think I'm going to show it in the afternoon. Should I show the third video and it would be on the afternoons LA? Say yes if you want to see an extra Sirloin. 2 Sirloins at tonight and then maybe an extra one in the afternoon. If you do, say yes, and I will drop that extra Sirloin and I'll put it in the title. If you want to see more sirloin than you ever thought was possible. Love sirloin, says Sarah. Yes, yes. So Kim wants more sirloin. Kara says sirloin. Yes. And there's Judy, and there's N.A.'s, and Jacqueline, and Crystal, and there's Sherry and Patricia. Okay, you will get an extra dose, an extra side of beef of sirloin. I'll drop some sirloin on late afternoons, LA today, and then you'll have 2 sirloins tonight, one at 10 o'clock and 10:30, and then another one on afternoons, and I'll put him in the title. So you'll see that there is lots of delicious sirloin. Stay informed, stay focused. Thank you for joining me on a big morning's LALATE. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. Let's try to do 2,000-3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Cal, VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay LA for more.